Adam Brett-Smith zooms off for a hard day's trading in the city. Some of his best sales are to the Far East. He sells futures. But what his company, Corney Barrow, deal in is wine. Frightfully smart wine. Adam's a frightfully smart chap.
As managing director of the country's grandest wine business, Adam de la Falaise Brett Brett-Smith, yes, really, commutes from Pimlico to a converted rectory on the fringes of the city. There's nothing as vulgar as a shop front.
Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, Corney Barrow. Yes, certainly. May I ask who's calling? Thank you very much, Mrs. Sykes. I'll just transfer you.
But there are some notably well-spoken staff and no fewer than 3 royal warrants.
So you found it quite difficult to get into the wine trade, didn't you?
Incredibly. I was turned down as a van driver by Fields in Slane Avenue.
How about Corney's?
Corney's turned me down 3 times in 9 months, so yes, I didn't have a very good record there either.
What would you have done if you hadn't got into the wine trade?
It's a very good question. I think I probably would sell aero engines or something.
You're a bit of a cars and bikes and boats and planes boy, aren't you?
I like anything mechanical. It's a wonderful way of switching off.
When not polishing his gaskets, Adam works on his cherished exclusivities, including the most famous names in Burgundy and Bordeaux. The son of the owner of the fabulous Chateau Petrus has been spending a few months working with Adam Brett-Smith and his wine buyer, Nicola Archdeacon Butler.
But it's slightly disjointed, isn't it? It's got that sort of supple
It's weird, isn't it?
fruit on the beginning, and then that slightly hard metallic structure on the finish. Yeah, this is what I think is such fun about Bordeaux. You've got, 1, 2, 3, what have we tasted? 4, 5 wines from almost exactly the same area.
Same vintage.
Same vintage, predominantly the same grape variety or varieties, and they're all utterly different. And if you had a desert island, you'd have to take Bordeaux as your baby. You'd have to be.
What sort of wine do you drink at home?
Price-wise or quality-wise? I guess between sort of £5, £6, £7 a bottle.
Really?
As every day. Yes, really.
I find that terribly difficult to believe.
No, it's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
What intrigues me about Corney and Barrow is that you're all terribly, terribly pucker, and you do have to have a double-barrel surname to work here, really. You do have to have as good a tailor as you, almost. But that doesn't actually reflect the city as it is at the moment, does it? I mean, you ought to be all in red braces and yelling down mobiles and stuff.
Well, I can't speak for double-barrel names or good tailors, but there are unquestionably certain qualities that are timeless and aren't subject to change. And that's courtesy and integrity.
I don't think courtesy is the hallmark of the modern financial world, is it?
Well, it may not be, but it's certainly something that they quite like receiving when they buy things.
They say they've cut down substantially, but lunch in the clubby dining room still plays an important part in the Corney sales manual.
Wait.
Morning. I sent you a fax about the Bollinger. Did you get it? Does it have to be the same vintage, or would you like something else apart from 82?
Next door is the firm's financially all-important broking division, where fine wines are traded just like stocks and shares.
If it's got anything to do with Mandy, it's bound to be a problem.
Now this is where I might find some red braces.
Petrus Magnums only, not bottles. 5,650. It's cheap.
Much of the wine sold by Corney's brokers is stored here, in a bonded warehouse in deepest Essex. In fact, many of these cases are traded several times before they leave here, having been imported by Corney's originally, bought by one private customer, sold to another, and then to another. Corneys have created their very own little market of very grand stuff.
Who's buying to drink at the moment?
At the highest level, there is a much greater involvement from the Far East, which is a very new market and becoming a very strong one.
But this huge increase in prices must mean that there's been a big increase in the amount of fake wine.
There have been instances of fake bottles circulating in the market, yes.
To counter these dastardly counterfeiters, the owner of Chateau Petrus has come up with a cunning ploy.
And this is a device on the label which only shows up under a certain light, and if I pass this up the label, you can see marks on the label.
Gosh, it looks
The label.
completely random, doesn't it? All those little flecks in different colours.
Yeah, it's quite pretty.
Pretty, but jolly difficult to copy.
Very difficult to copy.
Go on. Oh, well, I'll give up. I was thinking of counterfeiting Petrus, but I won't anymore. Have
Not
you
good.
ever tasted a wine you thought was fake?
Yes, I have indeed. In Hong Kong last year, no, 2 years ago. And the difficulty was that it was actually printed on the menu what the wine was. And the test was one which he'd played on a number of wine merchants before, because he actually knew that the wine was fake, but used it as a vehicle for testing
God,
abilities of people who were trying to sell him wine.
what
It
a
was
terrible trick.
Not very pleasant.
He'd cooked up this wine deliberately to be a fake.
No, he'd bought it in good faith and had spent upwards of £6,000 a case on it, and had bought 3 cases.
In the city, Corney and Barrow are also well known for their wine bars, heady with testosterone.
That's specifically aimed at the younger Turk in the city, the new boys.
Get a big skid mark on his shorts. No, absolutely.
What do you sell lots of there?
Mostly champagne. Champagne is perhaps the drink to both be happy with and to be tragic with, and there's a lot of that in the city.
Don't worry about it. Just bite the arse off it.
There's always a double magnum on ice, 4 bottles in one, for those with a real statement to make.
It's remarkable the number of times that's opened.
How often?
I would say 2-3 times a week.
And sometimes they go on and order a second?
Very rarely.
This list is one of the handsomest in the wine trade. Must be the most expensive to produce.
It is incredibly expensive to produce, but it's still given free.
How much does it cost you? Approx?
It's about £4 a copy.
Go.
It comes with the promise that if it doesn't entertain or inform, then they can throw it away. And we haven't lost one yet.
How do you know? There may be waste
They
paper
tell us.
bins littered
We
with
know
your
our
lists.
customers intimately.